The biggest question those considering home ownership needs to answer is simple. Should I buy or rent my home? And there's definitely pros and cons to each, and in this video we're going to go through the pros and cons of home ownership and the pros and cons of rent. By the end of this video, hopefully you have some clarity of the pros and cons of each, and ultimately can decide which is the best route for you. For starters, let's discuss some of the pros of home ownership. This may sound obvious, but your monthly payment builds equity or ownership of the actual property, and after years of paying on your mortgage, eventually you're going to own your home free and clear. This can be an incredible retirement vessel. You know, working with clients throughout the years, one of the things that I've seen as the largest expenses in retirement is often their housing expense. So by getting into home ownership at an early age and making your payments, by the time you do get to retirement, more likely than not, you're either going to own your home free and clear or have a very low mortgage balance that allows you to pay it off if you want to and own that house free and clear, eliminating a lot of your housing expenses. Now, in addition, if you make home improvements or your neighborhood improves, you're going to enjoy the benefits of your home's value increasing. Also, with a fixed rate mortgage, your principal and interest on that payment is going to stay the same for the entire duration of the loan. Now, there are small adjustments that can impact your payments, such as your property taxes and your home insurance. And one thing to think about is your home increases in value, so can your property taxes, but there's typically not massive swings year over year, and you're always going to have the peace of mind that the principal and interest portion of the loan that you're paying on will never change. In addition, interest that you do pay, nobody loves interest, but there are some benefits, as it is actually a tax deduction, and there actually could be additional tax benefits for your situation. Now, of course, there's also cons associated to home ownership. For starters, most lenders require that you have a down payment when you go to purchase your property. Now, although there are some really awesome programs for first-time home buyers, the reality is at the end of the day, there's gonna be something coming out of your pocket. And there's two things to consider. First off, you have your down payment, which lenders require based on the loan program you qualify for. And then second, you have things like closing costs and then setting up your account for property taxes and homeowners insurance, all which require you to bring money to the closing table. Now, there are some circumstances that do not require a down payment, but those are very far and few between. However, those options do exist, and if you're curious if that's something you may qualify for, we're happy to look at your unique situation and see if there's any programs such as grants that can help offset some of those out-of-pocket expenses. Remember, the less you put down at the closing table means the more money that you're financing. So with a higher financed amount, that can mean you have a higher monthly payment. On top of that, remember, you're now responsible for all the maintenance and repairs as well as the property upkeep. Depending on the age, condition, and the size of your home, these are costs that can add up quickly. Now, if you want to move, you're also gonna have to consider that this doesn't happen overnight. You have a couple options, and of course, you can rent the property, which, you know, at some level could be a pro because you can receive passive income, but you're gonna have to either manage that property yourself or find a property manager. And on the alternative, if you decide to sell it, that's gonna take some time, and more likely than not, you're gonna wanna work with a real estate professional to help bring your house to market. And at that point, you're going to be paying some commission to have the property sold for you. It's not as easy as picking up your boxes and moving. When it comes to renting, there's obviously pros associated to it. For starters, you're not going to need a sizable down payment to move in. Most of the security deposits are around 1 to 2 months of rent. It's a lot cheaper than a down payment for purchasing a property. In addition, someone else is responsible for the maintenance and repair costs beyond the small things. And this can be specified in your lease agreement. Everyone's a little bit different, but typically it's a lot cheaper than if you own the property yourself and are responsible for everything. Now, in addition, if you want to move, all you need to do is wait for your lease to expire or potentially even break your lease. And although that could potentially come with some financial penalties, it's typically a lot quicker than having to sell or rent your own property. Of course, when it comes to cons, the most obvious thing is, you may have heard, rent is 100% interest, meaning the rent payment goes to someone else who owns the property, and they're going to build the equity and pay down the balance if they're financing the property you're living in. At the end of the lease, you do not own any stake in the physical property. In addition, your rent can go up over time. We're seeing that frequently. Rents typically are based on the fair market value, and as homes appreciate in value, the rent typically follows. You might find a place that you love and You might want to live there long term. Unlike a 30-year fixed mortgage that's going to lock in the principal and interest portion of the payment, as that home continues to appreciate in value, there's a strong likelihood that the rent will increase when you go to renew your lease. It's not tax deductible like mortgage interest. Few, if any, renters' expenses come with tax benefits. You're moving to a new area but want time to find just the right home. Renting for a short time may free up some money and time to assist in your home search. You can also gain insider knowledge to local housing market. And if your ultimate goal is home ownership, buying now or renting now, both can be good options for your path. At the end of the day, everyone's situation is different. There's definitely clear-cut pros and cons to both home ownership and renting. As we've seen in the last few years, remote work is now a viable career path. Renting gives you flexibility to never be tied down to a specific area. And if you're at a point in your life where you want to explore and figure out maybe a place you can call home long-term and really see what else is out there, renting could be the best option for you. You really want to invest into a property and reap some of the long-term benefits of home ownership and have your payments go towards equity that you can later tap into, well, maybe home ownership is the path you consider now. Either way, having a plan and knowing your options is the best place to start. It's never too early to speak with a mortgage professional that can at least show you some of the options that are available to you. Knowledge is power, and knowing your options can help you make an informed decision for what is best. Like we said, there's pros and cons, and everyone's situation is different. If you're curious what loan options are out there, how much it would take you to buy a house, what the monthly payment would look like, we're happy to help. Whether you're looking to buy immediately or you just want to have an idea for a few years down the road, it doesn't matter. We're always here to answer your questions. That way you can consider what option is going to make the most sense for you. We hope this helps.